What's up, party people in the house? It's Dynasty War Games, and as usual, on brand with technical issues from the start. Mike, this is a podcast where the mind goes to tickle itself. Did you hear
me? Yeah. That was a good one. How you doing, Jesse?
Yes, that's a Michael Scott quote about comedy, actually. So I'm your host. This is Dynasty War Games. I'm your host, Jesse Schneeman. I'm here with my co-host, Major Mike Casper. How you doing tonight?
Hey, just still Captain Promotable, but yeah, we'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay, right on. Captain Promotable, Mike Casper.
Yeah.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue.
No, not quite.
Right on. All right, so Chad is it's a busy season for, I guess, horses. So Chad's out doing. He told us what specific event it was. Really big in his field. Do you remember what that was?
I've never heard of it before, so no. And I've been in a haze since I got home. It was a long day, so I was just like, okay, Chad won't be there. Drive on.
Okay, right on. The Futurity. So it's the biggest event of the year for him. Right on. So Chad's in the Futurity. So we're going to talk rookies, right? We're going to just kind of go through the list and talk trade values, what it's taken to get them where they are and where they are exactly. So kind of, being that this is trade deadline season, I want to make sure nobody overpays. If you're a contender out there holding your first round pick, or maybe you had a couple of them, we just want to make sure you don't give up too much for that veteran you're trying to acquire for your push, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, Olave probably is better than most of the veterans you would trade him for anyway at this point, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And that's kind of where I want to start, is with Olave, because to me, if I had to give out an MVP, I think it'd probably be him to date. Personally, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely been the most consistent of the young wide receivers, especially with an offense that's struggling. I'm pretty sure his points per game is up there for one of the best, but we've had, I don't know, it's been an interesting season. London started really strong, and Watson's obviously coming on late, but London is kind of
London started strong, kind of fell off. Now that Pitts is gone, I guess we'll see if he gets more of a look or gets more target share anyway.
I mean, he only got 4 targets, and it was a close game. Yesterday.
They're Atlanta's very committed to the run.
Yeah. So, it's funny. Their philosophy is very similar to the Titans, and obviously that's because Arthur Smith, came from the Titans. But they're executing that. So if they didn't have that tipped ball at the goal line, they could have probably won yesterday. So
right. Yeah, they have a pretty good line. They're playing too well because they're kind of screwing themselves out of a high pick where they could get that quarterback. It's gonna be tight next year, by the way, with the quarterbacks coming in.
Yeah,
there's not a lot of free agents that are worth anything.
Yeah. Someone can pay for Russ. I'll take that. You want to trade for Russ?
Yeah, you guys are. I've already started people like supposing how Denver could get rid of him.
They can't. It's impossible.
You guys are stuck.
No.
You guys are just gonna have to hire the right coach.
Sean Payton
to play Russell ball. Sean Payton would be amazing.
Ooh.
Holy shit!
Don't get me too excited. Anyway, back to Olave though.
Yes,
his former team.
I mean, we all thought that he was, he was a favorite of this podcast. I'll say in draft season. He ended up going anywhere. I guess he was. I would have to say he was around the consensus 107, 108.
I would agree. Yeah, absolutely.
So 107, 108. What's he worth now? If I offered you Garrett Wilson, which is weird, but I just kind of want to compare the two a little. They'll always be connected through the college they went to.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously they came out the same year. They were drafted in the NFL draft near each other. I assume I have to add something to Garrett Wilson to get Olave.
Yeah, I mean, you would at least a second, if not more. It's interesting because I don't have a lot of Olave because I went Garrett Wilson before Olave quite a bit. So I had quite a bit of Garrett Wilson, still a few shares left. But
have some. I have 3 or 4 Olaves and probably 5 or 6 Garrett Wilsons in my 16.
I mean, it'll be interesting too with the Jets situation. Like Mike White just had a career game, and Garrett Wilson was a big part of it. So you could see a really ending to the season here that could really boost them up next to each other, especially with the Saints kind of not doing great as of late. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to JJ Zacharyson, but his data supports a lot of rookie wide receivers towards the back end of their rookie season, really delivering as far as fantasy points. And we're seeing that from guys like now Wilson and Watson and some of these younger guys, even Sky Moore getting in there now. So
yeah, a little bit. Sky Moore, not too much. I think he had 6 points. So speaking of Olave and Sky Moore, I got an offer today. Someone offered me Sky Moore and a late 24 first for Olave. It's not enough, obviously. So I told him, it's interesting opening conversation. I'll try to find a counter, but I couldn't really without something. Like I offered what I wanted, what I told him I would be Garrett Wilson instead of Sky Moore and a better first. So like a mid to high 24 first.
You wouldn't do Garrett Wilson and the late 24 first? I'd be pretty.
Well, that's what I asked him. That's what I asked him for, and
it
just seemed to be way too much. Like he didn't want to do Garrett Wilson plus a first at all. So,
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
I might say a 24 first would be pretty tempting for me.
It seems pretty fair. A second doesn't move the needle for me.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a difference. I don't think I'm gonna get a. I feel like I'm gonna get a role player.
Yeah.
If I'm lucky, hit rates.
I mean, unless you get. I don't know where you got them in most of your drafts, but I got them around, anywhere from 110 to 202 was George Pickens, who's playing tonight. So it'll be interesting to see. I feel like I'm not super plugged in. It feels like this wide receiver class is not as strong as it could have been or was suspected to be at the beginning of the year. But
wait, so you're saying you don't think it's as strong as it was supposed to be?
Yeah, from what I've heard, as far as like Boutte and
you mean the incoming class?
The incoming class, yeah, the 2023 class.
Well, there are 3 really, really good looking guys, in my opinion. So you have JSN, Jackson Smith in Ngaba.
Yeah.
And then Quentin Johnson from TCU I believe. Yeah. And I've not done tape. I've not looked at film on any of these guys, but just from what I've seen highlights and stuff and listen to other people talk. And then the other one's Jordan Addison from Alabama, I believe.
Sure. We'll go with
so,
that.
But yeah, those 3 guys I think will be really good. And then Boutte is starting to come on. We'll see. We'll see with him, but
it's just interesting because one of the things they said tonight was how Pickens was the 11th wide receiver drafted in this class. Obviously, he should have gone higher because of his talent and stuff, but they had the personal issues. But he looks good. He is facing Deontay Johnson out from everything that I've been watching tonight, which is interesting. So
yeah, maturity issues can be huge. The wife and I just watched the Aaron Hernandez documentary on. I think it's on Netflix or HBO Max.
That was wild, huh?
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason he fell to the 4th. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Jerry Sinclair saving our balls. Jordan Addison plays for USC. Thank you, Jerry and Chad.
This is why I don't do Debbie content, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. So back to our rookies. Anyway, that I couldn't get that done. The other thing I asked for was DK straight up for Olave. He wouldn't do it, but I assume people who have DK just love him.
I think, to be honest, if you're like a true contender, I don't think Olave is really someone I'm going for. He's not doing super.
Well, what I'm saying is, if you're a contender with Olave,
are you
going to try to trade him? For
I would try to get like an Adams or a Higgins if I could. A Hill.
T. Higgins would
add to something to get a Hill. I mean, it depends. Obviously, whose roster these guys are on, but I think some of the older guys they're just smashing weekly, like Adams and Hill.
I'd have to add what to Olave to get Tyreek Hill?
Gosh, I don't know if they're really not a contender. I wouldn't try to pay more than like a 24 first, late, hopefully.
Olave and a 24 first for Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
If I had Tyreek and I wasn't a contender, or I didn't believe in my team, I thought I wanted to retool. Man, that is a hell of a pivot right there. I'd
Yeah.
snap that up.
I mean,
I'd snap that up.
Probably not in a whole lot of situations. Like whoever's got Hill, probably the winning team. But now's the time to
Sure.
make those moves. So
Sure.
you got to look at. I would look at the every time I get on my app, I just scroll through and see the bottom 5 teams, who they have, if there's anyone old that I think could help my team, and give them someone young that's on my bench right now. That's not, you know.
Yeah. So Christian Watson's value is spiking right now.
Yes, very touchdown dependent, but yes.
Sure, but if you keep scoring the touchdowns, but yeah, it reminds me a little bit of that Claypool year.
Yeah, no, that is eerily similar.
Might be a really nice time to sell him.
Yeah,
so I'm sorry, but I saw a really pertinent post in the Dynasty Warzone Patreon chat today by our brother Jerry Sinclair, where he said, you know, he just loves that he took Watson with his 110 in a lot of leagues, and now he's winning leagues for him.
Winning leagues for him, yeah.
Right, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But, I mean, are we going to trade him? That, like, I mean, is it maybe time to capitalize on that hype and get a veteran that is a little more proven?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to be honest. It's just the Aaron Rodgers injury makes me nervous. If Aaron Rodgers was fine and we knew Watson was fine, then I'd be okay with it. But I think his response to the injury was, as long as they're still in playoff contention, he's going to play. Which,
well, he said he'd like to play.
Yeah,
I mean, if he's got broken ribs and a broken thumb, I don't know if he can.
That scares the crap out of me. So,
but he's not he's not the one that threw that touchdown to.
I know Love did, right? So,
yeah,
but
I mean,
that's the best Love's ever looked.
All right, so what are we gonna get for Christian Watson at this point? Like, I'm shooting for the moon. I want like Dalvin Cook. Am I crazy? You know, if there's a team that's starting to fall out of contention, you know
the one you could get is Kamara, which I don't know if you want that. He's had 4 games less than 10 points, but before that he had
that offense is just shit. With Andy Dalton's a statue, you know. And
we talk about how good Olave is, but honestly, I think you could maybe get Kamara for him right now.
Yeah, I think you could get Kamara for him, but I don't know that that's what's winning my league.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's always got that potential. I'm trying to think wide receiver.
He does. You're right. He does have that potential. I mean, it's not a bad trade at all. Although you're going to have to deal with a suspension next year. So is he really got enough potential to win your league this year? And then you have to deal with a suspension. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that's my target.
I mean, remember what he did? Was it the playoffs 2 years ago, or was it last year when he had his 5 touchdown game in the championship?
Yeah,
he won me a couple ships that year. So, maybe him. Maybe you can upgrade to Chubb. You'd have to add to Watson considerably to get someone like Chubb, but probably
considerably,
at least a first.
I mean, at least a first. I wouldn't do that. I think you're underestimating how people will be salivating over Christian Watson right now. You know, I'm almost thinking he's like a 2 first value. You know, he's probably a 224 first value. 224 first, not 223 firsts.
Nah, I think he'd be a 4 in a second, a late second. I don't think he's in 2 first territory. Yeah.
Okay. Well, he's I don't know. You have to find the right person.
For sure. Yeah.
So, but I'm going back to Dalvin Cook. That's the level of player I would want for him.
Cook is interesting.
I don't think you're getting Jacobs just because he's so hot right now.
Yeah.
What about Derrick Henry? if you're falling out of contention or out of contention and still have Derrick Henry, you might be a little desperate to get rid of him. I mean, you're definitely selling your soul if you do that.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
Henry's had some rough weeks.
I would absolutely, but he's also had some monster weeks, and
sure.
and he's got a heck of a floor.
Yeah,
He's still going to score you 10 or 13 as your floor, I feel like.
Yeah, no, that's interesting too. Yeah, Cook and Henry, certainly interesting. Jacobs, if you can. Wide receiver wise, though, I can't really think of anyone.
I would love
one
to
for one swap. Like
one for one.
Maybe a Godwin, but I kind of want a little more than that.
You'd want more than Godwin.
Yeah.
What about Diggs? Is that just too far fetched?
Yeah,
or Devontae Adams?
You'd have to add a lot.
You had to add a lot to those guys. Yeah, Diggs is so. I think he's such a badass, and he's kind of one of the only guys standing, I think.
Yeah, but definitely some of the older guys. If I'm all about packaging a young guy with a pick to get an older guy like an Adams, a Hill, even a Diggs.
Mike Williams. Do you think you can get Mike Williams straight up for Christian Watson?
Oh yeah.
And would you?
Just because he's hurt, I feel like I could get more than Williams. I would think, but you could probably get Keenan Allen plus for Watson.
Keenan Allen plus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, with how old he is.
So like Keenan Allen in a second.
Yeah, which I'd be
interesting.
All for, right?
If I'm a contender, I think I'm doing that.
And this is where you really got to look at your roster, right?
Like, if I really believe that I have a shot, I believe in Keenan Allen in the playoffs more than I believe in Christian Watson.
Because I mean, Jerry said Watson's winning him leagues. Well, Watson's in his starting lineup, so maybe it's a good idea for him to keep someone. But if you've got Watson on your bench consistently, that's something I'd be willing to move for someone that I can put into my starting lineup, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, no.
If I'm a heavy contender, I'm not trading for someone for too much bench depth right now. So,
all right. So, Jay Sinclair is going to lead us into a trade that Mike actually made. He says, "What about going after Pitts with Watson?"
Obviously, depends on the size of the premium.
Yeah, we'll say 1.5.
Yeah,
instead of 2,
or
just a half point premium.
If I had less contending teams, I would be trying to buy as much Pitts as I could right now, because I think this might be as low as it gets for a while, with probably a new QB coming in, with him dealing with the supposedly season-ending injury, probably.
So if we're not a contender and we have Watson, and there was a contender that had Pitts that went down.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be trading Watson for Pitts. If I could get him straight up, cool. If I could add a second to him, awesome. If I had to add like a late burst to still get Pitts, let's push. I don't know if I'd do that. Maybe I give them a first, they give me a second and Pitts, or something. You
still believe in Pitts that much?
I do. I think the talent's there, and yeah. So, but
what was the injury? It wasn't an ACL, right?
No, I want to say it was a foot or something.
Is it something that they're confident he'll be back for camp?
Yeah, I think it's still up in the air whether he comes back this year. So.
Okay. I thought he was straight up done for the year.
We'll see. I'll have to look at it, but yeah, no. What Jesse was alluding to is the trade I made, and I'm a very heavy contender in a league with the 2.0 tight end premium, and I had Pitts and Kelsey, so I thought I was going to be set.
And it is a start 2 tight end league.
It's a start 2 tight end, and it's a full point tight end premium.
Right.
So I traded Kyle Pitts and Najee Harris for Devontae Adams and Pat Freiermuth, who has really come on late with Pickett, which is nice to see. So,
I thought it was a really smart move on your part.
Yeah, I mean, Najee wasn't starting for me because I had Cook and Henry and McCaffrey. I think one other big RB. I did have Breece Hall at one point too, but I traded him. So had a lot of injuries on that team, but still going strong. So I liked it. It upgraded my wide receivers as well for getting Adams there. He's been balling. So
Yeah, I thought it was a really smart pivot on your part. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're giving up youth, but
Yeah.
you have a real chance to win that league. So good,
I
good
mean,
move. And I was a little pissed. I'm in that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Fryermuth isn't that old either, so that's why I kind of liked it.
No,
Is I
he's young.
still was
That's
able
true.
to
That's true. So
get
you
a
did right.
young-ish tight end. Like I wasn't going for like an Ertz if he was healthy or something like that. Someone who's still
Right. And it's not like, yeah, and it's not like there's a huge shelf life for running backs. You might be giving up a few years with Devontae.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was a little pissed. I'm in that league, and I have a similar situation where I have Cooper Cup and Goddard out, and I thought that's a move that I could have made. Offer those two for the exact package you got. It would have absolutely helped me this year and not really killed me going forward. So
he might have not taken it with him being rebuilding to take someone on like Cooper Cup, but it would have piqued my interest if I was him. So
yeah,
for sure.
I mean, I might have had to add a little bit just to persuade him, but I mean, it's still an elite piece that he can turn around and flip.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we've gone through Watson, Garrett Wilson, Olave. Let's talk about Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little surprising, huh?
As
a slot.
I was gonna say I'm not surprised. I know Memphis isn't a big fan, but I was more of a Burks fan than most, and it's good to see him finally getting the volume and him actually producing with the volume.
He does look like a pro receiver out there, and he does look very, very well fit for this offense. Like his skill set works well. He's pretty much a monster after the catch, and the play action gets him open. The play action is gonna get guys open in that offense. So he's the perfect type of fit. Does look a little like AJ Brown light to me.
I think so too. For sure. But no, it's good to see him moving up.
Yeah, it is nice. I was a little down on Burks. I was a little scared of him just because of how raw people said he was coming out, and I guess it took him a couple weeks to get on the field. But he looks like there's a thing out there that he can do right now, right away at a pro level and score your points. Yeah. And then if he starts learning the rest of the nuances and becomes like a nice zone beater on top of this guy that they can get in space with play action, then I don't think he's ever going to be like your man coverage beater with roots and stuff like that. But he can definitely be a jump ball kind of guy, win at the catch, space guy, and maybe a zone beater in the future. So I like him. I got two shares of him in drafts, and then I traded Juju for him in one place. Juju in a third, I think I gave up for him. So, that was way early in the year when people were down on him. I did these just in case. I get these just in case shares, and he's looking good. Yeah. I definitely, on those teams that I have him, those rebuild teams, I'm penciling him in as a flex starter next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's really encouraging to see someone start really slow and just increasingly get better as the year goes on. It means they're kind of learning the craft, learning the speed of the game and stuff like that, as opposed to someone maybe starting hot and then kind of petering off a little bit. So,
right, like Drake London, who we touched on briefly.
Yeah, exactly.
So how far in value has Drake fallen? I mean, early in the year, he was just everybody was just in love with him. He was untouchable.
So yeah, absolutely. I mean, because he was
consensus 103 in the rookie draft.
Yeah, he was pretty consensus wide receiver 1 or 2, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah.
Right? So
I liked Garrett Wilson better, but
yeah, I did too. I think I took Wilson in front of him once. But yeah, it's interesting. If I was a non-contender, I would be. If Drake is on the contender, I would be going after him for sure, because I think talent's there, ceiling's there. We've seen it, but it's interesting that both offenses are kind of similar. We were talking about with the head coach for the Falcons coming over from Tennessee, but Burks is getting his rise while London is getting his fall in a
Mhm.
similar offense. So I don't think it's anything talent based. I expected more from London this week with no Pitts there. But yeah, I think he's fallen quite a bit. So like I think he's behind an Olave, a Wilson.
Mhm.
He could be right there with Burks. Christian Watson kind of in the same territory-ish.
I think Drake's got more value than both of those guys still.
I
To the owner that has him, because he
and
invested
that's
so much,
Yeah, that's what I was
Sorry,
going to
go
say.
ahead.
Is I haven't seen anyone panic sell London or anything like that. I haven't seen anyone sell low on him. Honestly, I haven't seen him moved at all in any of my 15
Yeah, I
leagues or
haven't
whatever
either.
it is. So
Yeah, I haven't seen a trade involving London at all anywhere.
Yeah.
So not that they're not happening, obviously, but it's
most
probably
of the time he was drafted on a bad team. So bad
Yeah.
team is just going to stick with it and see what happens.
Yeah, and that team values him way more than the team coming after him does. And that's we can all right. So what are we going to give up for, or what are we going to get for Burks? Is what I'm saying. Like, let's say I have Burks. I'm a contender. I want a player that I know is going to be better than Burks enough. That is it. What's the range? Is it Amari Cooper?
That's interesting. Yeah. I would do that as a contending Burks owner for Amari Cooper straight up. I actually really like that one. That's a good one. That seems like spot on.
Are you not worried with Watson coming back at all?
No.
You don't think there's going to be a rust factor?
I mean, there might be. He's got a couple weeks to figure it out. I'm sure he'll get back into it. But I think it'll just open up the offense. Watson will open it up for Chubb, which will open it up for Cooper, and we'll see. Obviously, he doesn't like playing outside in the cold. There's that myth of Amari Cooper hates the cold. Doesn't want to play in the cold. He's like Peyton Manning. But
okay, I had never even heard that before.
I never heard that. Yeah, it's pretty funny. So
I guess my ears are just tuned out to the noise.
That's why he went off. I think it was in Detroit or something like that. But yeah,
right.
So but yeah, no, I think it's super fair for contender.
Cool. All right, we nailed that one. I don't want to waste too much time on Drake because I don't think it's valuable advice because I don't think there are any.
I think bad teams have him. Yeah, if you're a contender with Drake, he's probably not in your starting lineup. So
yeah. So and really, honestly, his value is he's worth more to you than what you can get for him. So hold him.
Yeah. Or if you can add to him to get like a Waddle, a Hill, an Adams, something like that. If you're a heavy contender and really need it, I would be okay with that. But
okay, that's such a rare. Yeah, like that's just kind of not going to happen for sure. And Waddle's pretty untouchable. It's going to take so much to get Waddle.
Yeah, interesting.
If you're if somebody's going to trade Waddle, it's because they need a different position anyway. It's because they need a quarterback or a running back.
Speaking of running backs, you want to talk about untouchable? Man, Jerry's boy, Kenneth Walker.
KW?
Dude, he is untouchable league winner.
Yeah, he is
He's crushing it.
Ass. What did you give me for him?
I gave you Hawkinson and Breece Hall.
But I also gave you Gabe Davis, right?
Yeah, you gave me Gabe Davis too.
And I got Michael Carter, right?
Yeah, and you got Michael Carter and Breece Hall.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm always gonna do.
Yeah,
like if you, I want both of those guys.
It makes sense for both, and I somewhat regret it, but kind of don't. I miss Hawk because I have Andrews and Pitts, and not a whole lot's been happening.
So Pitts went down after you made that trade, right?
Yeah, he did. So
and
I probably would have made a Pitts instead. So one Pitts for Hawk. Ooh.
I mean, Hawk's been unlocked since he got traded. Double digits every week since. He's not lighting it on fire, but he's playing well.
Would you take Pitts for Hawk? You don't have to be specific about that league, but just in general, in a 1.5 premium. If you had Pitts, would you move him straight up for Hawk if you could?
Yeah. Yeah, you mean if I'm not okay? Are we making a deal on the air?
I don't know. Are we?
All right.
We
So,
don't have to. No.
if I'm a contender and I'm struggling to replace Pitts, Hawk does feel like he's been unlocked, right? But yeah, I do.
I'm just glad I can make
my
it difficult. That makes
position as a rebuilder.
that makes for good radio.
Yeah, what I'm struggling to tell you because I want to make this deal right now, but you know, in the interest of good podcasting, I don't think it's a good deal for you.
Oh yeah, you don't think so, huh?
I think it's a little bit of a panic move.
Yeah, I can see that.
You know, I'd love for you to panic and make the deal with me, but if you're asking me on the air, do I think it's a good move for you? No, I don't. I think you should hold Pitts. I think his value is going to shoot right back up as soon as he comes back. You know, but
there's not many situations where I could bench Andrews for.
Maybe I'm undervaluing Hawkinson's value as well. Like I said, he's unlocked. He's never. I mean, he's gotten hype in the past, but he's never gotten Pitts hype. Nobody's ever gotten Pitts hype. So there's just enough of that that's going to remain. That's going to artificially inflate Pitts. But I think there's a good chance that he's never as good a player as Hawkinson.
Yeah.
You
never know.
So,
but I don't know.
Value-wise,
value-wise,
it's a pretty weird one.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go on. I was going to say Hawk goes to new system, gets new QB, looks good. Maybe Pitts, new quarterback, looks good.
Yeah.
You never know.
Right.
But interesting.
And you've seen the ability on the field. It's just, it's more raw than people thought. You know, he's not as polished as people thought, and he's not had a good quarterback or, you know, an offensive system tuned, you know, to him.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's ever going to happen under this coaching staff. So as good a job as Arthur Smith is doing with this turd, polishing up this turd, then he's likely to keep his job. And it's a tough one. Neither one of those is rookies, though. So we're spending a lot of time on not rookies.
Oh, sorry. He's close.
No, that's all right. We're about halfway through. We're about halfway through the show, so I want to get to some running backs. Oh, well, we did go KW.
We did talk Walker.
Yeah, we did go KW. Yeah. And so that kind of leads us into Breece.
Yeah.
I think if you're a contender, you've already traded him for a running back.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah. If you didn't, you need to do that now.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're a contender that had Breece Hall, and there were a lot of them out there for whatever reason, you know, good teams that shit the bed last year and ended up with the 101. It happened a couple times in my league, and now they're contenders this year. Or teams that just traded for Breece Hall at various points, and they were counting on him, and now, right? So, if you still have him, what do you? All right. So, when Jacob started going off, and you and Chad didn't really believe in it yet, I assume you do now.
I mean, you can't. I like, as much as it pains me to say as a Broncos fan, I like pieces of the Raiders offense, mainly being Jacobs and Adams.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
they're doing great.
Derek Carr's not performed the way I'd hoped he would this year, but he's good enough. I think he's been Derek Carr. Good enough.
Yeah, right.
Right. So Breece, I did Jacobs in a second for Breece. Mid-ish, mid to early second. Like it'd probably be the.
That's fair. I like that for both sides.
16th pick or whatever. Okay.
Yeah, I did.
I made that with a fellow industry person, Katie Flowers.
Okay. Yeah, I right after Breece got injured, I traded, and this was before Walker truly exploded, but I traded Walker for Breece in a 2023 second, which now I think I probably could have gotten more.
Right.
I was very much in rebuild mode. Walker was putting points in my lineup that I did not want. So, you know how that goes, right?
Yeah, right on.
That's how we take it out.
Trade
Right?
those bitches out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think yeah. So if you're positioning, the top 3 picks are looking like the elite picks this year.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again. Well, actually, I guess it was only 2 last year. This year, it looks like, you got Stroud, Bryce Young, and Bijan.
Yeah.
I am going to call him Bijan. I don't know why. That's just kind of what my brain likes to call him.
Bijan.
Yeah, so if you have Brees, trade him for a stud. Do not trade him for Dalvin Cook. Dalvin Cook's a stud, but trade him for a young stud.
Yeah.
Should
be going for a Walker, a JT, a something. Assuming you're a contender. If you're not, then just keep him.
But Jacob straight up or Saquon, you might have. You're gonna have to add a little to Brees Hall to get to Saquon.
Yeah. Yes.
But if you have Michael Carter, it helps. Definitely. That's one of the things that I always try to do when I have a young stud. If there's an obvious handcuff to him, I really like to have him. Like, I don't have Dalvin Cook anywhere that without Alexander Madison.
Yeah, same.
You're going to need him.
Yep. Exactly. You never know, but when the time comes, to be glad you had him.
Right, and it also, when it comes time to trade him, makes it a lot easier to trade him. People are less reluctant to trade for a guy if they know they have his backup.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. Okay. So I made a trade yesterday.
Okay.
Did you see that in the Marvel Fantasy Universe League that we're in together?
Oh, I think so.
With Mr. Otis, who Josh Otis, I rarely make trades with him. Although I've done twice. Oh, you just offered me a deal. All right. So Judy, a 24-second. And this is a contending team, so should be a late second, and a 23 very late third is what I gave up. And then I got Dameon Pierce, Gus, and Isaiah McKenzie. What do you think about that?
Well, first we'll speak for Chad. I don't think Chad would like it. He's a very big Judy believer. I am not.
Okay.
I've been setting over Judy pretty much the whole year.
Yeah, it says a lot that there were so many trade rumors at the deadline, for such a young receiver.
Yeah, I don't know if he's fragile, doesn't want to play with a broke-ass team, or like what his deal is, but no, I like the Pierce side. The stagnant offense is what worries me. And that offense is,
it's been 2 really bad weeks for Dameon Pierce in a row now. Weeks 11 and 12. He's gotten stuffed. That comes after 2 really, stud weeks.
So
it's a bad offense. We know it's a bad offense and a bad line.
Yeah, I don't like having running backs in bad offenses, but I think Pierce is good.
They're going to add CJ Stroud next year.
And that's what, because funny enough, Otis, for all of his trades, even if I'm in the league, he just asks my unbiased opinion, and I usually give it to him. And he was like, "Oh, I'm all about selling Pierce because I bet they add someone else." And I was like, "No, they're not. They've got 50 million other holes on that roster." But
that's what I've been thinking.
They found the diamond in the rough in Pierce. So
right. So why not ride that?
Yeah, he's gonna
save your capital, for other positions.
Yeah, he's gonna ride that. He's got that job probably for the next 2 years, if not more.
They are going to be desperate to add, because they're going to
wide receivers, wide
receivers and offensive linemen to that, because Brandon Cooks absolutely will not be there next year.
Stay there. No,
There's no chance that he plays for them next year. So you're going into the year with Nico Collins and Brevin Jordan as your big weapons. They're going to be.
Jordan's been inactive for like 4 straight weeks. He's been day inactive. Yeah. So there's no one. It is literally just Nico. So definitely
I believe heavily that Dameon Pierce has a job next year.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And
I do too.
And I just say you have to believe that they're going to be an ascending team. I don't think that Lovie Smith is some sort of genius, but I do think that he knows how to run an NFL team, and he's going to keep them.
Yeah.
He's going to keep them in line. He's a good coach for a bunch of rookies that you don't expect to do a lot. Just kind of turning them into professionals, teaching them what it is to be a pro. I think Lovie Smith is probably the perfect guy for that.
Yeah,
we'll
they
see
can't score points. They need people that can score points. So they're going to go offensive. If they don't, I'll be shocked. But I don't know. You never know.
Linemen and receivers. Just that's how teams typically build around a first round quarterback.
Yeah,
that's typically how they do. So, yeah, I was really surprised that Dameon Pierce laid a second dud in a row this week, and I feel maybe I'm overvaluing him.
I don't think so. Yeah. I thought it was a fair trade. I liked it for you. So,
right on. It's a team where I don't have a lot of wide receiver depth, so I didn't want to trade Judy. But he's also not in my freaking lineup.
Yeah, he's not playing, and he's on a crap offense anyway. So
that I don't expect to get better this year.
No.
You guys are going to have to rework that line.
They've quit on Wilson, so it's it'll be interesting. It'll be an interesting offseason. I don't see how the head coach isn't fired, but it's not there.
I don't see how the head coach can still be there. The record. It's not even the record. It's just he's already lost that team.
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Yeah. So
that's Pierce. That's pretty much all the running backs, I feel like, for the rookies that are. Well, I guess Rachaad White, right?
Rachaad White, yeah. So breakout Rachaad White. I offered before yesterday's game started. I offered. Well, yeah, and there's also Brian Robinson, Tyler Algier,
and Pacheco. Yeah,
Pacheco.
His first solo start.
Yeah, I offered Gabe Davis for pretty much all those guys we just mentioned before yesterday's game started. Turned down across the board.
Even Algier?
No, not Algier.
Oh, okay.
He's the only one I didn't.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess that makes Pacheco's kind of surprising, but Pacheco
turned out.
Yeah,
I thought that was you.
He's running good. No,
wasn't that you?
No, for Gabe Davis.
I thought it was. Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
No. I probably would have taken that, but no, Pacheco looks good. Clyde, I think, is done there. They did just sign Melvin Gordon, so they must want to fumble the football.
I can't believe that. I think they just want
I feel like Melvin Gordon, he just wants to play for every AFC West team. He's got the Chargers, he's got the Broncos, and now he's got the Chiefs. So lock him in for the Raiders next year.
He wants revenge against both those teams that cut him. So
hey, I will be happy to have him go up against the Broncos, and if he fumbles, I will laugh for hours. I'll just record myself laughing watching him fumble. That would be hilarious.
So you think Pacheco is worth Gabe Davis? What's Gabe Davis worth? Like a late first or a 24 first, probably, I think is more accurate.
I think he should be, but I don't think people see him as that just because he's
so hard to get anything of value for him. Yeah, I have been offering him for so many things. Like, unless it's a package deal, nobody wants to trade just straight up for Gabe Davis. I guess they don't want that headache of 3-3, 17, 2, 46, 7. It's a pain in the ass. It's not a fun ride. I can tell you that with Gabe Davis. And I just, even though he's young, I'm treating him as like a toxic veteran asset that I have to get rid of. Not on the cheap. I can't get something of value for him though.
He kind of reminds me of Mike Williams a couple years ago, where it was very big games, touchdown, and then just kind of getting shut out. But he hasn't really had the big injury issues. So I don't know. I like him, especially where I've got Allen. I started trying to stack more if I've got some elite QBs with.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Guys,
I like to try to get the secondary stack if I can, just because it's usually a lot easier to do.
Yeah, for sure. So, I like him, but it's interesting with Pacheco. This is where you say you're playing with free money, right? You probably either got Pacheco off waivers or drafted him super late, depending on when your rookie draft was. So
yeah, 5th rounder most likely, if at all.
But
so I don't know. So Brian Robinson and and Rashad White. Yeah, all right. So we just made a Brian Robinson trade.
Yeah, you can talk about Brian Robinson. He has been looking better as he gets going.
You got AJ Dillon, I got Robinson, and what?
I think that was it. Wasn't it just straight up? Or did I give you?
No, it was
Robinson in the third, maybe? We gave you Robinson in the third.
I'm going to look it up because I remember thinking I would have done it straight up for Brian Robinson.
Yeah, I think you
didn't understand why you added something. So I took it real fast.
It had to have been like a third or a fourth or something like that. Was that? I don't remember which league that was in, but yeah, I don't know. I guess I wasn't a believer in the offense.
Josh
and
Palmer.
it surprised me. Yeah,
is what it was. Palmer. So yeah, like a late second or third value is what Josh Palmer is, I guess.
Yeah, so I definitely take Rashad White straight up over Brian Robinson. It's a little less murky there, but and I think the fact that Brady has shown his trust in White is just super significant. I mean, to give him 9 targets and for him to catch all 9 of them, you know, and there's a Brady bias with rookies. I think I don't know. I like it. Obviously, I'm still okay with Lenny and stuff too, so I don't like him there murking the water or whatever, however you want to say that. But it's definitely interesting. I like White, Pacheco, Brian Robinson. I think kind of same tier for me, all interchangeable. But I think, to be completely honest, I'd rather take just Pacheco right now, straight up. Just because Brady's not going to be there for another next year. So who knows what that offense will look like.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, yeah, Rashad White is definitely iffy for next year. And even if Brady is there, he's not looking so great anymore. I mean, this might be kind of his downfall, unfortunately, or his decline. We might be watching his decline. I finally admitted to myself today that we might be looking at the decline of Russ as well.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just the offense and the line. He has also not played well.
He's slow. He can't move. He can't scramble.
Yeah.
So unless he drinks the magic juice and gets in phenomenal shape to get him back in form, like
I think the magic juice is some Metamucil.
Yeah, there you go.
I think the man needs to just a really good dump before game day. You know, that's we did. I think we talked about that off air, how he's doing that elimination thing.
Yeah,
he's down to 2 poops a week.
I don't know. It's interesting.
I
feel sad for the 2 Russell Wilson jerseys I have and how this is going, but you know, it is what it is. Did JT just score a touchdown? I don't know. Special teams touchdown. Punt return.
So, all right, let's pivot to tight ends, rookie tight ends. The first guy drafted has basically been the least productive, right? Trey McBride. Even with where Ertz out, he doesn't seem they either don't trust him, don't have a plan to use him that way this year. He isn't ready, or maybe he's not got the talent.
Yeah.
But he looked really good in college, and he had really good college production. So I'm going to lean more towards he's probably not ready.
Yeah, for sure. Just like most tight ends are, right? So
right, yeah, that doesn't concern me too much, though. His value has dropped.
Yeah,
I don't think if you put him on the trade market, you're not getting early second value for him, which is where he was, last year. So, I would say he's probably fallen to like a late second.
Yeah, for sure.
So, but easy for him to bounce back with 1 or 2 good games.
Yeah.
All it takes is the Trey McBride breakout, and boom, his value, he could easily go up to a first, or more, just depending on. Yeah. So, but like I said, he's kind of been the only one that hasn't broken out to some degree this year out of all the guys. There have been so many that have. Dulcich has looked really good despite Russ.
He hasn't done well lately, but when he came on.
Right. So he came on strong and he looked good. He
Yeah,
looked
for
as
sure.
advertised, good ball skills, route running, athleticism. Looks like a good player for years to come, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Um, he was a third, fourth round, some places fifth round pick.
Yeah.
Tight ends are all over the place in rookie drafts.
Yeah.
So, but I would say he's worth more than Trey McBride now.
Abs-
Mid
I
second,
would agree with that. Yeah. I don't know
mid
if
to
people
early
would pay
second.
that, but yeah. Yeah.
Well,
I'd
people
say
aren't giving
mid.
him up.
Yeah.
Yeah, people aren't giving him up for less than that.
Yeah. I'd
By
say
any
mid.
means. Yeah.
Mid for sure.
Um, Isaiah Likely has broken out to a degree. He looks like a guy that they want to use even when Mandrews is there.
Yes. It sucks that he's been injured because I want to see more of him in it. But yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Coastal Carolina graduate, late draft pick. I got him off waivers in a bunch of places in July.
I'm not gonna lie.
I have a lot of shares.
Some of his game, I feel like, looks like what we want Pitts to look like in some of the receptions and route running that I've seen from him. Anyways, has been really good. So not jumping the gun, but I could see a kind of Gronk Hernandez type of usage for Andrews and likely if Bateman never comes on and they can't ever figure out a wide receiver position.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he looks like a big slot to me.
Yeah.
If I had to compare, I wouldn't call him a tight end, although I think he's a decent blocker. From memory, I definitely did some film study on him, but I'd have to look at my notes. But I think he was a decent blocker coming out. But he reminds me of Marquez Colston. Marquez Colston, you remember him? Sort of one of the first big slots that I can remember for the Saints.
Yeah.
Kind of similar players to me. I made a trade for him. Let's see what I gave up. So let's see if we can nail down his value a little bit. There he is. So Jeff Wilson in a third. And I was a little surprised to be able to get that for that. But yeah.
For a contender, that makes sense. I would totally trade Likely for the starting running back on the Miami offense and a third.
This is a team that it's sort of middle of the pack and he's trying to contend, I think. But
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have Mandrews on that team.
Okay.
And my team it's first year for this league. It's 1 QB, 12 team. My team, a lot of injuries, and I didn't end up in contention. So I made a couple little trades to sort of try to retool for next year. One of them was I traded Jameson Williams, who we haven't talked about, by the way.
Oh yeah.
For a first, a second, and a third. 23 first, second, and third. It's gonna be a mid, somewhere middle.
Interesting.
23 first. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I feel like
just throw some more dice.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I'm gonna get a player I like as much as Jameson Williams in the middle of the first round of the 23 draft.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a bunch of really good players there, and this is that team. I have a bunch of wide receivers and a little bit of a deficit at running back. So it would be nice if I could get like a Zach Evans or Jahmyr Gibbs or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I like it.
Yeah, and just have the extra couple picks. I thought it made sense. So yeah, Jameson Williams, I feel like there's not much to talk about because he hasn't played, so stock is even.
Yeah, it is where it was when the season started. So
yeah, I made a bunch of trades involving him, just because I had him on a bunch of contending teams, and he was just a chip that I could move.
Yeah,
something that wasn't helping me for something that was. Like I gave up 3 or 4 weeks ago, I gave up Jameson Williams in a second for George Pickens.
Interesting.
As a contender, I see their careers as probably being pretty similar. Like I think that they could both end up being stars.
Yeah,
right? But
for
right
sure.
now, Jameis Williams isn't doing shit for me on my IR, and it was worth a second to me to get a player that's going to go into my lineup, and I'm still not losing that young star potential.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of. I would have preferred to have been a third, but I can see why you didn't. That makes sense. So not
Yeah.
bad, but definitely would have preferred like a third instead of a second. I like
That
it.
was with Chad. I think he proposed the trade to me, and I just
Of course.
thought, I just thought that it was.
Please.
I just thought it was a good offer. I just thought it was fair for both sides, to be honest.
Yeah. Oh, good. I like it.
Yeah. So QBs we can talk about really fast. It was
Yes.
not going to take long.
Pick it.
Kenny Pickett has. I think Kenny Pickett has just sort of kept his value where it was.
Mm-hmm.
110.
Yeah.
That's Kenny Pickett. He's
Yeah.
he's not looked terrible. He's not looked good. He's definitely better than Zach Wilson. Probably not as good as Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
No. Yeah. No. I would like to see. I really hope they address the offensive line this offseason. I'd like to
they
see
need
him
to.
with a more competent line because, I mean, tonight he looks good. Getting it to Johnson, Pickens, and Freiermuth. Like Najee's out for the rest of the game. I just saw, but
Is he?
Yeah.
Yikes.
So
Trade target for rebuilders.
yeah, glad I have no shares of that guy. But
yeah, I have none, by the way.
But yeah, for Pickett, like definitely rolling with him. If I got
right
him.
on.
So
yeah, he 110. I'd say he's worth 110. So the only other rookie that I can remember that got in this year was Malik, right?
Yeah, Malik.
Who looked ridiculous.
Yeah.
He looked pretty good as a rusher a couple times. So like that ability, at least we know, is as advertised.
Yeah, but his throwing was terrible.
Yeah, he just didn't look like he was an NFL player.
Yeah. I don't think Burks was active when he was there either, so it's not like he had any stars around him getting open. But yeah, he did not look good passing. So.
No, he did not. He did not. So nobody else has gotten in, right? Skylar Thompson. I don't think we need to evaluate him.
Yeah, I mean Ritter hasn't gotten in yet, and that's the only other big one is
Matt Corral's hurt. Yeah. Matt Corral would have gotten.
He would be starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
Yeah. Do you think we have a chance to? Yeah. Do you think we have a chance to see Sam Howell at some point?
No. I mean Heineke's 6-1. They're all aboard the Heineke train.
Oh, is he?
He's like Gardner Minshew 2.0. So they're pretty excited in Washington with Heineke. So
I keep having this thought now that you bring up Gardner Minshew. He's a free agent. And
he's not on the Eagles roster anymore?
He is. No, I mean, he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year.
Oh, yeah.
He's currently the Eagles' backup.
Yeah.
Not a lot of free agents out there. You got Jimmy G and you got Gardner, and the Raiders might make Carr available if they can find an upgrade, but like Brissett, there's not starting quality quarterbacks just available.
Is Tannehill?
No, Tannehill's under contract next year. He would be tough to cut on the contract. He's garbage. Come on.
Danny Dimes, right?
Yeah, I feel like the Giants are going to bring him back. So
yeah,
I guess I'm not really counting him. I think it would be interesting now that we have seen the Jets offense without the worst quarterback in the league again. I would love to see Gardner there. That would be because they're not going to be in a position to draft one of the top two guys. After that, after Bryce Young and Stroud this year coming out, it's a lot of ifs, man. Hendon Hooker just tore his ACL. Will Levis does not impress me. And Anthony Richardson does not look ready for the NFL to me either. And who else the hell do you have? There aren't any of these guys that came out of nowhere this year, like Pickett or Mac Jones or Even Burrow. Like there's no guys like that now this year anyway. So what are the Jets going to do? Jimmy G? I think I'd rather pivot to Gardner. Tell Zach Wilson we're bringing in competition. If you're better than him, you'll start. He won't be. Gardner Minshew will start, and I think they could be pretty damn good under him. He can sling it. He's not got a lot of arm strength, but he's accurate, and he makes good decisions. And he runs around and makes things happen. I think he would be fun add to the Jets, and it allows them to save face a little bit while keeping Zach Wilson around a little bit without totally giving up on him. And then maybe you find your long-term solution the next year.
Yeah.
What do you think?
No, I mean, I think it'd be interesting.
It's just something that's been rattling around my brain. I would love to see it. It would be fun.
I think everybody wants to see Minshew back in the league. I think you could see someone like Minshew in Carolina, though.
Yeah, that's also a possibility. Although I think they may be in line to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks.
Yeah, they do. Their pick is sitting at 6 right now. So, it's interesting.
Not a lot of teams at the top of the draft that need quarterbacks, by the way. I was looking at it yesterday.
Well, it's Houston, and then Chicago has theirs. But then it's Detroit. Then it's Seattle.
Oh, yeah.
Depending on
I guess both of those teams.
How tonight goes, it's Pittsburgh. Then it's Carolina. Then it's Philly. So Arizona, Green Bay. Yeah. So
Philly's that's the Saints pick. Yeah, Philly's gonna have a top 10 pick next year after winning the Super Bowl. That's crazy. So they're gonna have
winning the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, they're gonna have 8-32 this year.
Yeah, I just feel bad about giving up a top 5 pick to Seattle for Russ. But hey, at least we got San Francisco's pick, which is templated for 25 right now. So
how did you get that?
Traded Bradley Chubb. One good thing our GM did at the trade deadline. So
you got a first for him?
Yeah,
it would be nice if you could get an offensive lineman there with that pick.
Yeah. We just need health. Golly.
All right, so let's talk about Pickett's value. I mean, Malik Willis's value real fast. I'll give you a third.
Don't care, but yeah, I was gonna say late second, early third. Maybe.
See, I wouldn't trade him for that though, just in case he does still work out.
Yeah.
I don't care enough about thirds, although I, been learning my lesson. Some of my thirds have been working out.
You might on the clock in the rookie draft next year. You might be willing to make that move. So.
That's true. That's true. Certain guys hang around. Like Alec Pierce was popping into the to the third round a couple times in my drafts last year, and I had to trade up and get him.
Yeah. No, that's good. This was solid, Jesse. We
stayed
on topic. Didn't ramble too much. We got all the important ones in, and
I don't think I mentioned. Well, I just for the first time over an hour in mentioned the 10-1 Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fine as long as you're not mentioning the 76ers or
no,
the Phillies. May they rest in peace.
Wow, they're dead. Franchise died.
No, that's the Rockies. So
yeah, we'll save it for when the Phils sign their shortstop, Xander Bogaerts, most likely.
There you go.
All right, cool, awesome. I mean, Chad might not agree, but I think we rode this one long and hard.
Absolutely. And that's what she said.
Thank you, sir. All right, so we will be back next week. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. For Mike Casper and Chad Mizza, I'm Jesse Schneeman, and that's a wrap.